say there, Angela and Peter. What's going
Hello
on, ladies
there.
and gentlemen? Oh, yeah, Kathy A. Hello there. Hey, Tammy. Welcome, everybody. It's sliding into the show. Hey, got some good news there, Angela and Peter. We are broadcasting on another channel from the UK, Spooky Network, and we're also broadcasting live from Japan right now. Yes, we added 2 more channels to our network, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Tammy, Cliff.
Hi, Tammy.
So,
Hi,
yeah,
Cliff.
so we are expanding more worldwide. So, hello, good morning in Japan. Hello, everybody in UK. But yeah, so how is Angela and Peter doing?
I'm okay. And if I have to leave, somebody may be at my door to check a leak on my roof. So if I leave abruptly, that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm
Lord, a leak. So I saw Peter love to see himself on that trailer. Peter got a big smile. Peter actually looked on the screen and was like, that's me. That's me. Angela just smiled. She's like, oh, look at that. She's like, I want a cup of tea with some biscuits. But you liked that, did you? Hopefully y'all did. So that's a lot that went into it. So well, good. So what we got lined up tonight?
Well, who we have lined up tonight, I have been waiting a very long time since I joined Angela and yourself on your podcast, and he's a very, very busy young man. I had asked one of my closest friends, who is an international power journalist of Greek descent, to come on the program. And I'm going to read a little because I was trying to write this down and I had such a busy day. But I'm going to let him fill you in on more of his background. He is a 7-time consecutive Best of Long Island winner. And in the past 3 years, he has been honored as the best Long Island personality in arts and entertainment. And this honor has only, besides him, has gone to Billy Joel 6 times.
Wow.
So, my friend is an amazing writer. He only works with the A-list people in Hollywood, in Nashville, Tennessee, Olympians, and soap opera stars. And we met through a mutual friend of ours who has passed, Janet Russell, who was an amazing medium. And when I met him, he said to me, well, let's talk, do a mini reading for me. And I've done a mini reading for him. And after the mini reading happened, we became extremely good friends. Everybody in show business loves him. And without further ado, one of my closest friends, Marcos Papadakis, welcome to the show.
Marcus, come on down, sir. Welcome, welcome. How you doing there?
Thank you for having me. Awesome. Thank you so much for that intro.
Welcome. Nice to have you there.
You too, and thank you I'm honored.
So, Marcos, tell us a little about what motivated you to get involved in writing, and how did you end up connecting with some of the most famous people in the world?
I started my college newspaper, the Queens College Night News, and ever since, the rest is history. People were gravitating towards my articles in college, and I'm like, wow, I can totally see myself doing this forever.
Where did you go to college?
Queens College. Queens.
Oh,
okay. Seinfeld, Carole King, Fran Drescher, Marcos Papadakis.
Wow.
Interesting.
Paul Simon. Yeah.
So do you decide personally whom you're going to interview, or does your company or
I do. It's my choice for interview, so yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to tell the viewing audience, sometimes when you call me or I call you, I will hear from you, Peter. I'm sorry I can't talk right now. I'm on with Sting, or I'm going to be interviewing Billy Joel, or Reba is it McIntyre? Some of the names that you have.
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful article. But I'm in awe about how do you set up an interview with these individuals? How do you go about doing it? Do you contact them? What is the lineage, or what is the protocol for setting up interviews with these stars?
They have to be promoting something, whether it's an album, a tour, a video, a song, a cookbook. It could be anything. It could be a regular book. It could be a movie. There has to be a reason for it so that they could talk about something new and relevant.
All right, so there has to be a link between a movie or something that they are doing creative within their field of endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you found most of them to be very gregarious, very outgoing, very social?
Most of them.
Oh, most of them. All right, so I guess we won't go into the ones that are not so friendly, but
even the not so friendly ones with my articles, you can never tell who I had a bad interview with versus who I had a good interview with.
Right. I'm the same way. So I can relate to that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
The way I write it, people are like, "Oh, you had an amazing time." I'm like, I might have, but I might have not. But it's about professionalism prevailing in the end. So yeah.
All right. So how many? This I want you to share with the world. How many articles have you written so far, my friend?
Over 20,000.
Wow. That's a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Wow, that's amazing.
A lot.
20,000.
It's a lot in 17 and a half years. I wasn't an overnight success. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you do this in Canada? Is it international? Is it Canada? Do you do it throughout Europe?
I Zoom everywhere. It was
Zooming everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I'm curious also, who are some of the most, if you can openly tell us, some of the most fascinating articles that you've done with whom?
Peter Marks was a big one. He's such a legend. Because back then, he was the first psychic and astrologist that spoke to me about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. At the time, it was a taboo topic. And then it was one of his one of the most popular views to date, because that's when the digital age was first starting out.
I remember that article, yes. Very well.
I love Stevie. I love Sting. I love Michael Bublé was a good one. Michael Bublé.
All right. And Michael Bublé he's Canadian, am I correct?
Yes.
All right. And what is, now you interviewed him about his singing career.
His latest album. His
latest album.
It won the Grammy. I told him. I was right. I predicted it for him. My own psychic abilities.
That's awesome.
According to your chart and according to my psychic ability, you do have that ability to pinpoint and to tune in.
I think so.
Now, I forgot, how many years have you been doing this?
17 and a half.
17 and a half, okay. Now, I know from reading from other people, you actually have individuals that are lined up that want to be interviewed by you. Is that correct?
All the time, yeah. A lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, so how many people do you interview a week?
6 to 10 a day.
Wow. Sounds like Grizzly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Grizzly Chris, exactly. But yeah, I do the writing component, so it's a little different, so yeah.
Okay. And can you... Well, I'm just thinking of certain people. I don't know if you've done that. I'll throw it out there. Have you ever connected at all with Celine Dion?
Not yet, because of her health. Her health.
Yes, because of her health. Okay.
I've tried,
And
but they couldn't do it. Yeah.
Do you find some people are more spiritual than others, or I'm sure.
Yes, definitely. Especially in like the country music world, the Christian music world, definitely. Some of even the rockers, some of the Hallmark actors, some of the Up TV actors. Yeah. Especially for the faith-based film. It's really interesting.
Yeah, faith. That's more faith-based I think is a little bit different than maybe spirituality or psychics.
yes. I was also thinking about have you had contact or did you interview or want to Paul McCartney?
Not yet. That'd be cool though. We could throw that.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I've always wanted to do a Beatle, but yeah, not yet. I've reviewed Ringo Starr at the Beacon Theater, but never an interview yet. I'm working on it.
Okay.
That'll take.
That's coming. That's coming. So let me ask you also, and I know that I can answer this myself, but I want you to explain this to the audience. What makes Marcos Papadakis stand out from all the other journalists in the world and any other power journalists? What makes you so unique?
My efficiency, 6 to 10 articles, spit them out. Boom, boom, boom. By the time I'm done with one, they already have 2 or 3 lined up for me, the publicists.
Wow.
Wow. Holy mackerel. That's a
Nobody else can have an interview for them within 20, 30 minutes. Marcos can.
Yes. Wow.
Does this not sound like Grizzly?
Pretty much.
I mean, he sounds just like me.
Similar.
Yeah.
It sounds similar. Now, have there been some of the? I'm in retrospect. I'm going back to the old Hollywood genre. Have you interviewed any of the? I mean, some of the ones that I loved, of course, have passed. But I'm thinking of people like Debbie Reynolds. I'm thinking of who might have you interviewed from the Joan Crawford days or the.
In January, I did Robert Wagner, remember?
Oh, that's right, Robert Wagner. I forgot about him.
Wow.
We went through it together. It was amazing.
Yes, and how was that interview? How did you find that?
One of my favorites. He was like he's like the great uncle or grandpa I never had. It was really cool. That voice, it's like so mellow, so cool.
Yes, yes.
I loved him in Austin Powers. He played the bad guy.
Austin Powers, yes.
No way.
And I'm like, is there going to be a sequel? He's like, I still have the patch if they want me for one. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Wow.
Oh, is that what he said to you?
And I loved him in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof back in the day.
Yes.
Now, Stephen Nick says that she's a witch. Did she is a witch? Did she ever allude any of that to you?
We never got that far. It was a long interview, but we were talking about like she had a DVD album, live DVD album. She had like 3 things she was promoting, and yeah, we never got to that part. But everybody told me yes, she used to do that back in the day.
Wow. Yeah, she was connected part of Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Rumors and Belladonna days.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that. Wow. Now, the other one I was curious about because you were parallel with winning an award with Billy Joel, correct?
Yeah. That was cool, yeah.
Now, you did interview him, am I correct?
Yes, twice.
Twice. Was that out in the Hamptons or was that over the phone?
It was in person. It was at, what was it? Westbury at the Long Island Music Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I also wanted to, you were also, and I forget how many years ago, weren't you honored, was it the Palace Theater?
Oh, God. One of those. Yes, it's all a blur.
I think this was going back, about 2 or 3 years ago. Well, was it the Palace Theater because they had put your name up in lights?
That was 6 or 7 years ago, believe it or not. Yeah, that was after Christmas. Remember in the snow?
Yes. Yes, I remember that now.
Because I was home eating soup, and then I was like, "Oh, my name's up in the lights." I wish I could go. There was like a foot of snow. I couldn't go out.
So how was that for you?
That was
How was
awesome.
that?
For the
Yeah.
10,000, it was cool because back then I did it with Ed Asner back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Ed Asner from Luke Grant and Mary Tyler Moore show.
Yeah. Oh,
And now,
you interviewed Ed Asner also,
yeah, many times,
right?
many times. A good friend of mine. Yeah, rest in peace.
Yes. And how about Mary Tyler Moore?
I never got to her, but she passed. But I would have loved
Yeah,
to.
you can still interview her if I bring her in sometime.
Hey, I'm down. We were talking about her for half the interview. He was talking about that cat that she had in all the poses with her.
Yes, that was her. I think that was her trademark.
The cat,
That
yeah,
was
you're
her
like, oh,
trademark.
that cat must be 100 years old.
Yeah, because she was married, I think, to Grant Tinker. That was one of her. Do you remember Grant Tinker? That
I don't
was
know
one
who
of
that
her.
is. Before my
Oh,
time.
okay.
Making me feel young today.
So instead of me monopolize this, Grizzly, do you have any questions for
No, you're
Marcos
doing
or
great.
Angela?
I'm fascinated.
No,
I'm glad to
no.
have him on the show.
Tell us some. Yeah, yeah. Tell us some of the people. Oh, wait a minute. Tell us some of the people that you enjoyed interviewing and what they have to say for themselves.
Oh, wow. I love the Olympians. I love the Olympic swimmers. Like their regimen is like crazy. They get up at like 4:45 to go swim in a cold pool every day, 2 hours before they start school. It's incredible. And their
That's
workouts,
wild.
it's like calculus trying to read like what those workouts say. I'm like, how do you quantify 97.5% speed? Like you don't, Marcos. We just wing it. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Incredible. Like my Olympic swimmers and my track and field athletes, my hat goes off to them. I'm like, their training regimen is like they're superhumans. They're like real life fish and dolphins. It's like crazy.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I did want to bring something up because it's still in the front of my mind. Marla McKenna, who is a very good friend of ours,
Yes.
just recently ended up in the New York Post with
Yes, manifesting your dreams. Yeah, that was cool.
Yes. So, how did it feel to end up in the New York Post with Manifesting Your Dream? You had a chapter in that book.
I did. That was I call that book the gift that keeps on giving because it just keeps it's always relevant and it was like a labor of love for everybody and it was during the pandemic. It was really cool.
Yes. Yes. Now, you and I are going to be in a book
Yes, taking our power
coming,
back.
Taking Your Power Back. That's right. That is going to be coming out, I believe, in, well, we're in September, October, November.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Out of curiosity, what can you give us a little tidbit about what your chapter is maybe about?
It was a chapter, one of my favorite articles I've ever done. It was risky at the time, and everybody told me it was like my career best. Like I submitted it for two different. I even submitted for the Pulitzer 2 years ago. Of course, I didn't win. I was like a brand new name in that list, but it was really cool, and it's going to be in that chapter. So I'm really happy because it was a risky topic to talk about in entertainment, and it involved the pandemic. And I was like, oh, it's either sink or swim. Either it's gonna bring me down, or otherwise it's gonna bring me up. So I'm glad it was the former in my situation. It was really cool. So I can't wait for people to read it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the book coming out also.
And ironically enough, it's just ironic that the girl that won that Pulitzer that year, it happened to be a 9/11 story. That was all
Oh,
written, and today's 9/11. It's just so ironic. It's just I was going to the track and field that night, and my dad had clipped out this New Yorker article, and he had it on the staircase for me to read. And I was like, wow. It was like it felt like a photo essay, like with like writing. It felt like a visual journey, and then sure enough, when I found myself that I lost to that, I'm like, wow, and that was like meant to be. Like it was like out of all the articles in the world, it happened to be the Pulitzer Prize winning one.
Wow.
It just so happened that today is 9/11, and this was like 2 years ago to this day.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that quite well. What are you going? Have you been thinking at all about writing your own book? And,
Yes, I'm in the process of doing that now. Funny you bring it up.
Well, I'm glad psychically I picked that up. So, can you tell us a little about your book and what it's going to be about?
After 20,000 articles, I'm like, I've always wanted to do a book at that point because I have a lot to say in this industry. It's like, it's been 3 steps forwards, 2 steps backwards. I've always had enough success to keep going. And I'm just so happy. It's worked out amazing for me. The biggest blessing is being sought after every day for work. So I'm never short of work. So it's good to be in demand. I just can't wait.
Well, how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about?
Does it get frustrating for people to constantly grope at you or wanting to be interviewed, or do you get annoyed from people constantly contacting you or bothering you to be written up?
It gets a little crazy, like 2,000 requests a day sometimes, especially for Fridays, because Fridays in the music world, every new song in America comes out on Friday.
Okay.
It's called New Music Friday. So, yeah. So, it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo at this point. I only say yes to 6 to 8 of them.
Are there any people in show business that you decided after speaking to them that maybe you didn't want to interview them?
A lot.
A lot.
I'm like,
now, what happens if they want you to interview them, but you don't want to interview them?
I just politely pass in a very nice way. I'm like, thank you, but very, very politely passing at this time. I can get away with that most of the time.
You can't get away with that. I also wanted to, my guide to asking this question. In the next 2 years, where do you see you're going with your career?
I want to get this book out by then, hopefully. I know it takes like a year for it to be released, so I just want it to be published because I'm on fire. I want to break whatever the Guinness World Record is for most published articles.
Oh, you want to break that record?
Years ago, when I tried to apply for 15,000, they told me that according to Britannica, there was like a Romanian prime minister that had 25,000 articles in the 1900s. I'm like, when did he have time to write all those articles in the 1900s before computers? So
yeah,
that's
right.
debatable in my mind. I'm like, really? 25,000 articles?
Wow.
So Cliff Jones is asking you, Marcos, did any interview nearly bring you to tears?
A lot of them. One of my favorites was the Imagine Dragons one. I don't know if you love the rock band, Dan Reynolds.
Yes.
It's like the biggest part in the world. Like, he was like my dream at the time to interview. Like, he does so much with all his charities, his charitable causes, and the music. And I was just like, wow, like he has like and he was suffering from ankylosing spondylitis. So I'm like, wow, like he has like all those health issues, and still he has like a big spirit and all that stuff. It was like, wow, it was like so moving, and that was one of them. And Stevie was another one. I'm like, wow, I'm talking to the queen of rock and roll, Pinch Me.
Yes.
It's just so many great, yeah. Bret Michaels, for the same reason. Bret Michaels, he's had all these health issues and he prevailed. Like in concert, it looks like he's like a 16-year-old on stage. It's like, where does he get that energy? He has more energy than me.
And that's going some.
Yeah. Good times. And then with Peter predicts everything that happens to me 2 to 3 years in advance. So I'm like, Peter, you're right again. You're so accurate. It's crazy. You're so good at what you do. That's why I call him the legend every day. He's such a legend.
Well, I thank you, but I can't totally take credit for that, Marcos, because a lot of this comes from spirit guides.
Right.
A lot of this comes from God, so I don't personally take credit for it.
But like the accuracy, it's like the mathematics behind it, like it's incredible, like the charts and everything. It's like, that's what fascinates me.
Well, you have a very unusual chart. You really do. You're multi-creative.
I'm sure it's like a Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
Same with Janet, rest in peace. Like, she would always I would know what would happen to me 2 to 3 months in advance. It was incredible.
Yeah, Janet also. Yeah, she wouldn't tell me, but there were times she would say to me, "I've got to tell Marco something before it happens." So,
Because he knew I was. She knew I was a warrior. You know, I always worry. I always over agonize over everything. So yeah, Janet.
Yes, absolutely. So, with the Olympians, can you tell us some of the Olympians who have you interviewed and in what category?
Swimming. I've done Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, meets the fastest journalist in the world. That was fun. And I loved Caleb Dressel, who's like one of my favorite Olympians.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have loved to interview Freddie Mercury. That would have been amazing. But yeah.
Oh, Freddie Mercury. Yeah, but he passed.
I love Queen. Like, I interviewed this British tribute band. He's like his doppelganger. And it's funny because they're playing this weekend at the Paramount. It's called Killer Queen.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Like coming back from the dead. And he's like, they started a tribute band 2 years after he passed, or around that time. It was crazy. Killer Queen.
Wow. So you really have enough people that you have interviewed that you could write a couple of books. You really could.
I can have like a book per person. Like if I combine all the articles I've done on them, I could pick that like this book, this book, this book.
Now, are you the only? I did research. I didn't see it. Are you the only power journalist that is in society? Are there probably? Okay. And what I'm curious also about Canadians. What Canadian singers, actors have you interviewed that you remember?
Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, you interviewed Gordon Lightfoot. Wow.
One of my favorites, twice. So good.
And how long ago was that?
Right before the pandemic started, January of 2020. And then the world shut down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you enjoyed that interview?
Very much. He's awesome. He was the king. I loved him. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, If You Could Read My Mind, Cotton Jenny, Don Quixote. So good.
Yes.
Through the woodland, through the valley, comes a horseman wild and free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff. Uncle Gordon.
Uncle Gordon. I also was going to open this up to our viewing and listening audience to find out if people have questions for Marcos, because he's got a fascinating background.
I'd love to do Adam Lambert someday because he's the closest now to Freddie Mercury because he fronts Queen a lot.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, your career is totally amazing.
I'm so happy. Best job in the world.
Do people ever invite you to their homes or to vacation with them?
They do.
What's that?
They do.
They do?
Yeah.
But you don't take them up?
Yeah, always. Look, why should I have a personal chef at home, Effie?
Why don't you tell the world about it? You've got an amazing
mom,
mother.
I always say she's the talented one in the family. I never have to eat out.
Wow. Effie, for a lot of people that don't know, she is an Epicurean cook.
Yes.
So what type of dishes? I love Greek culture. I'm fascinated with it. So what type of Greek cuisine does Effie whip up? And someday I've got to sample it.
Yeah. Seafood, porgies, seafood, Greek salad, spinach pie, moussaka, pasticcio, all your favorites.
Wow. Well, and this is all from fresh and
yeah, organic, homemade. Yeah, we have like a
organic.
garden with like tomatoes and everything. Tomatoes, cucumbers, yeah. We even have, remember the beets? We even have beets in the backyard. I did an article on beets one day.
Oh, you have beets in the backyard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And mom grows these?
Yes, Effie's Garden. Effie's Bistro, Effie's Garden, Effie's Barbershop, Effie's Arts and Crafts. The whole house is, Effie's Paradise.
Effie's Paradise. Wow. You really have it. You have it made for you, don't you?
It's good to be Prince.
I mean, why move out if mom is always cooking and always doing these things? The other thing I was going to ask you also was spiritually. How do you connect spiritually with all of these people that you interview? I know you have a spiritual background.
Yeah.
And what, on a spiritual level, have you found that you're able to grow by connecting with a lot? Because a lot of people out in Hollywood and the music business are highly spiritual and they really believe in a higher power.
Yeah.
So do you connect with that also? What do you believe in spirit guides, and do you fall back on spirit guides, and what's your belief system?
I do, and I feel like over the years I've grown more in tune with that ever since associating with you and Janet and all these other great psychics. And I feel like a lot of times I feel like I know what they're going to tell me before they do, or like some of their answers, like especially like their dream collaboration choices. 2/3 of the time, I guess what they're going to tell me before they do.
Wow. So,
Marco, if you can go back in time, who would you like to interview the most? From
I would have
Cliff
loved to have
Jones?
interviewed she had Laura Branigan. I love the song Gloria. That voice, it was like nobody sings like her, and she died so young. It was like incredible. Gloria,
Awesome.
And also Tammy Wynette. I would have loved the queen of country music.
Yeah.
She passed so young in like the 90s, so that was before my time. So yeah.
Yeah. So, are there other authors? Are there other people that you would? I'm also they asking me about authors and writers. Do you interview authors and writers, or are you
Sometimes, if it makes sense, yeah.
Okay. Any
They're bestsellers.
if they're bestsellers, okay. Can you tell us of any people that you have either interviewed or want to interview?
In the writing and author world?
Yes.
Oh gosh, so many. I'd love to. Oh gosh,
How about J.K. Rowling?
she's interesting. I'll leave it at that. Yes, I did interview Tina. She was awesome. I love Tina. I was one of her last. Remember we did her book. That book.
Yes.
Oh, what was it? Yeah, it was about her life. Oh,
Wow.
She had an amazing life, my friend. She really did.
Rough life, but yeah, Tina Turner. That was like in December of. That was also before the pandemic. Hold on, I'll find it. December. Oh, during the pandemic, in her new book. Yeah, opens up December 12th, 2020. We spoke.
Wow.
And how was she to interview? Was she very humble?
Yes, lovely. Yes. Yeah, she was in Switzerland, so it was like a teleconference, It was cool.
Yes. Yeah. Did she discuss anything about her impending? No.
But we had an idea. I feel a lot of us knew that she wasn't in good health to begin with. That's why. So yeah.
All right, and she was very, very, very. Yeah, everybody adores her. Everybody adores her. How about Oprah Winfrey?
Not yet. Maybe someday. That'd be cool.
Yes. So let me ask you this too. A lot of times when we talk on the phone, you say, Pete, I'd love to continue, but I'm going to hear somebody in concert. So whoever has invited you, what concerts have you gone to? And I imagine you go backstage to interview these people.
A lot of times, yeah. Who haven't I done? I go to pre-COVID. I used to go to like 6 concerts a week.
Wow.
was fun.
That's a lot.
It is. So yeah, I've done. Most of the time at the Paramount, I do a lot of them at the Paramount. So yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
you were also just out in LA. Tell us about your trip.
I hated that place.
Why did you hate it?
It was just like a different world, literally. LA was just like, I'm used to New York. You're like organized, like everything happens on time when it's supposed to. In LA, it was like the land of cancellations and like flakiness. I wasn't used to that.
So they were a little too flaky out there?
Way too flaky and too relaxed, too flaky. Like they didn't care. There was no accountability there, I feel like, especially with like the youth there. I'm like, guys, most of you are on strike. You have no excuse to like cancel meetings. Come on.
I agree with that.
The people over 60, they were like great because they were like, they knew the transplants, they were great. They knew how the business works. They were like reliable and they were punctual. The youth, oh my God, I'm like, every day, what's going to get canceled today? I'm like, it was like, wow, it was awful.
Did a lot of people, when you were out, they cancel on you?
Yeah, and 10 to 20 minutes while I was waiting for them at the place where we were supposed to meet.
Oh,
that's terrible.
And I'm like, is it just me? Like, no, everyone's like, welcome to LA. That's what happens here. I'm like, okay, it's not just me.
So I take it you're not a fan of flying out there anytime in the future.
I learned. We'll see. Maybe if I get 2 big interviews, maybe I'll go. We'll see. I never say never. But for now, I'm like, not my favorite place.
Not your favorite place.
I'm sure that might get its own chapter in the book.
Well, and you're talking about in your book, or?
Yeah, I hated that place with a passion.
Wow. So you wouldn't do well working out there with them. Now, the other thing I also wanted to ask you about, what is one of your favorite, if you can tell us, soap operas?
Oh, wow. General Hospital. It's been around for 60 years.
Oh, my God. I love General Hospital.
Man, does that not bring back memories of my mom?
General Hospital. And why do you like General Hospital so much?
Because most of the actors are still on. Back in the day.
It is the truth. He's telling the truth, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they're there like 45 years. They're never leaving. Well, at least over 30. A lot of them are there like from the 90s. It's crazy.
Oh, from the 90s. Now, did you interview any of them when you were out there on your trip, or?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I think I've done the whole cast 2 times over. I've never interviewed the Rolling Stones, but I tried. They weren't doing any press recently for their new singles.
I guess maybe they don't need the press right now, right?
Well, who knows? They'll be around for another 20 years. It's crazy.
You think they'll all be around for the next 20 years?
For their 95th anniversary tour.
Their 95th.
Yeah, right.
One of the producers up in Connecticut, called RBY Studios, told me when the Rolling Stones are in the Northeast, they record at RBY Studio, I believe, and they also stay at the Mayflower Inn, which is, in Connecticut. I also wanted to find out, this is an unusual question, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you want to do for a profession?
I'd be a publicist. It's the opposite of what I do. I'd be getting people press instead of doing the press.
You would be getting them press.
Yeah, I feel I do most of their jobs better than they do at this point. Literally. Because I feel to be a good publicist, you have to know the journalism side of things. Then PR is
that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. Is there any teachers, professors, professional people when you were in college or graduate school that stand out, that motivated you, inspired you to become a journalist?
Yeah, I was going to say back in my high school days, my English teacher, Eric Hafker, my 11th grade, he got me into poetry. Fun fact, I just had my 20th reunion for high school. And everybody's like, how many articles did you get published in the high school paper? And the answer was zero, none. They wouldn't publish me back then. It was crazy. It was absurd because
Wow.
back then I was writing about country music, and in the early 2000s, country music was taboo in New York.
Oh,
They
it was
would never
Wow.
publish me there. And then when they got a country station, it became the next big thing. So I was country when country wasn't cool.
wow. So you were what do they call it? Mountain
Pioneer.
kind of classic. Yeah. So
Yeah.
how did that make you feel?
It was cool because I was like one of the first, like, put country music on the map in New York, and then there was like a country station, and it was cool.
Yeah.
Have
Wow.
you ever interviewed EMF?
Who?
EMF. Unbelievable. Remember that song? Unbelievable.
Yeah, man.
You ever interested in doing him, Derry Bronson?
I'm not familiar with that song or that person.
Really?
Gotta Google it.
Yeah.
EMF.
Google Unbelievable, the song by EMF, and let me
Yeah.
know.
You got it. So I'll look into it. See,
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I love learning new stuff.
They're actually still on tour right now in UK.
Wow.
There's a very pop song that came out in the 90s. Peter, you're familiar with it. Angela, you're familiar with it.
Yes.
A very hit song. It made the #1 charts back in the 90s. And it was a UK band. And but anyways, I just thought I'd ask. And if you're interested, let Peter know. And
Okay.
I'll make a call for you and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in.
Where do you see, Marcos, where do you see the entertainment industry going? What direction? Since you started writing, do you see a change in attitude? Do you see a change in becoming very well known in certain genres and certain areas with entertainment? Do you see Hollywood changing?
Yeah.
Can you give us a little indication of what you see happening?
I feel now with the strike, especially, and the world of AI and artificial intelligence, I feel people are gonna want to do more indie films, independent films that are not AMPTP. It's like they have more creative freedom. They're not gonna make as much money, but it's like doing what they love. And because now with AI, it's like it's really sad.
It is
scary. It's scary. It's like they can take a picture of you once, then they could use your image forever. It's like sad, the state of the business.
Now, have you done a lot of research with AI? Because I know more and more people call me about artificial intelligence and saying that things are popping up all over the news, the media. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it's scary. It is scary in our society.
On the flip side of that, now a lot of the courts determine that anything AI created is not copyrightable. So that works in their favor.
It works in their favor.
You can't copyright something that's made by a computer. It's not yours.
Exactly. Have people, and I'm sure I could probably answer the question myself, have you ever interviewed somebody that said to you, I'm not happy with that, or change it, or I'm suing, or because every article that I've read, you are incredible with taking and putting it together. And your articles are, they're food for thought.
Thank you.
You don't just write. You also, there's a
story.
There's a story, right. I pick up spirituality. I pick up so much in the creativity of you organizing your articles. And that's what makes you so unique and different.
I've had, in all my years, 17 and a half years, only 4 actresses claimed I misquoted them. And they're all failed actresses, so that says a lot.
They're all failed actresses.
No, they just didn't like their answers. And they're like, really, I had the proof on my audio recorder. I'm like, fine, but if you're not happy, tell me, and then we could work together and adjust it. And this would wound up happening. But I'm like, don't say I misquote you. I never misquote anyone.
Yes.
right.
And they're the first to say I quote them to the T.
Yes. Are there Are there any celebrities that when you do the article that they want last rights, which we call it, editorial rights to read over and change something, or you don't allow people that you interview to do that?
If it's a sensitive, sometimes if it's like a sensitive situation, but yeah, if you want to tell me it's perfect, go ahead, because I know what to put and what not to put.
Got it. Wow. Well, it still amazes me every time I read about you and
Remarks, the legend.
yeah. Now you work for what? Can you mention who you work for? Is that taboo, or you can't mention it? No.
I
All
work
right.
for the Journal. I work for True Hollywood Talk. I work for Raver Magazine. I work for the Greek Press. I write for a lot of publications.
So how many are you connected to? How many other?
Oh, gosh.
Would you know?
Seven or eight.
7 or 8. Wow. Now the Hellenic News. You did a brilliant write-up about me, and you also written up about the awards. Tell us some of your incredible awards that you have been honored with.
In 2017, they inducted me in the Hall of Fame, which was nice. It was like these doctors, lawyers, bank presidents, and then you have the power journalist, me in the end. I'm like, okay, cool. And
that's
then
awesome. Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you. My mom, Epi, was there. They named me Journalist of the Year in 2017. And then in 2021, I got from the Hermes Expo, another from the Greek Press, another Journalist Award, and that was awesome. So I guess if you speak as every 4 years, that's a cool thing. So yeah.
What awards, my dear friend? What awards would you like to achieve or win that you haven't? I think you've done it all.
A Pulitzer would be nice, but even if I don't get that, it doesn't matter because, it's just the icing on the cake. It's just subjective. Everything is subjective. There's no such thing as best journalist. The best journalist is the best reward is you being in demand, sought after when people want to work with you. Because remember, when Vito Moreno and when George Shakiris won their Oscar for West Side Story, they couldn't get a job for 6 years after that.
I remember that. Yes. So
I'd rather be working and happy and have no awards. The awards are nice. Don't get me wrong. They look good on my mantle. But it's not everything. Like, I don't do it for the awards. Awards just like a side effect. I just do it.
Have you interviewed? You mentioned Rita Moreno. Have you interviewed? How was? Oh, I love Rita Moreno.
Lovely. 4 times I've interviewed her.
And what is she? Can you share with our viewing? Amazing.
She did the 80 for Brady film with Dolly. Oh no. Oh gosh. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Sally Field.
Oh wow.
Have you connected with Sally Fields? Have you?
Not yet. I tried. We're working on it.
You're working on it. The guy just said to me, "You're going to end up interviewing them." They're talking down the road here, and they're saying they believe there's going to be a movie in the future or something around your career. How would you like that?
That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
As long as I write the screenplay.
Okay. You have to write the screenplay. And who would you like? And Marcos, if you could choose any actor in Hollywood, who would you want to portray you?
Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean.
How did I know, ladies and gentlemen, that he was going to say that?
Mr. Bean.
I knew he was going to say that. Unbelievable.
You knew that.
Yeah, because I dressed up for him for Halloween last year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Did people know who you were?
Yes. Everybody was like, I went to a bar, oh, it's Mr. Bean is here. It was
awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
You really dressed up at that.
Yeah, remember? The picture went viral.
Oh, I do remember. Who would you want to, if you could select anybody, who would you want to produce a movie about you?
Whoever. I'm open to anyone.
You're open to anybody.
I don't care if it's Steven Spielberg. I don't care if it's any.
I was just thinking of Steven Spielberg.
That was our late friend's favorite. It was her favorite.
Have you interviewed Mr. Steven Spielberg?
I never put in for him. No.
No. Okay. Do you have a favorite producer that you like, or movies that you like?
Yeah, I like comedies. I like dramas. I like Hallmark stuff.
Okay. Interesting.
Peter Marks, the legend.
Interesting. So, I also wanted to say to you, I'm going to say it now. I would love, after the book comes out, with Taking Your Power Back and the other books, because Marla, I've invited Marla also on separately. She wanted tonight to be your special night.
Oh, thank you.
But I would love for us to, when the book comes out, for us to come on with Angela and Grizzly and talk about Taking Your Power Back, because I think it's an important book. A lot of people, including myself, are very excited about when it is actually going to be. It's premiering, the date. And the other question, what other question did I have for you?
It's going to be a bestseller. I already know it.
It's going to be a bestseller. Well, I'm hoping, and I'm asking this to the guides, that maybe we end up in the Oprah Winfrey magazine. That would be.
Oh, for sure. That'll happen.
Yes.
Yeah. The other one got in there 3 times, our other book.
The other book, yes, correct. I wanted to also ask you, the guides were asking me this. Any favorite child actors that you've interviewed?
The Full House people. Oh God, so many. God, where do I begin? Anybody at the 90s cons, basically the 90s cons, which are by you in Connecticut.
Oh yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no child star in particular stands out that you.
Full House people. Who else? Oh, the Power Rangers. Oh,
the
God.
Power Rangers.
God, I can. Oh, child stars. You know, the Debbie Gibsons, the Tiffany's of the world.
Yes.
Child stars. I'm blanking out.
Blanking out. All right. Any animals that you've interviewed? I'm kidding.
I'm not Dr. Doolittle yet.
So, can you give us a little tidbit about some of the people that are coming up that you are going to be interviewing, or?
I love to tease, so they have to stay tuned.
All right. So you like to...
I could say, but then it could get canceled. You know, there's so many things. You know how it is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that part.
I could say that, everybody, what happened? I'm like, he or she never called, or it got postponed, or especially now with the strike, it's weird. It's not a steady time for them.
Well, somebody called me that actually provides limo rides for the celebrities, and they're going through a very rough time right now. They're telling me.
A lot of them are.
Now, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, it's AFTRA and SAG that are both on strike?
SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild of America, both of them are.
And the Writers Guild of America, yes. Wow. So a lot of people are struggling right now for work.
Big time. They can't even pay their rent. It's sad in LA.
I heard a lot of people, I don't know if it's true, a lot of people are selling off their mansions.
They are.
But
remember, Billy Porter can't make it. Even though he's still worth $5 million, he just can't make it in the strike.
He can't make it
because all the projects that he was going to do never took off.
Yeah. Well, psychically, do you pick up that this is going to be ending soon?
No.
It's going to be a while.
At least until Christmas. I don't see it. Mathematically impossible.
You don't see it.
And there's hardly much progress done. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like from a corporate standpoint, they have so much content, all these streaming services. They don't care about the new movies nor the actors.
Well, it's big business. It is big business. But I know a lot of people are suffering. I know some people in Connecticut that have their summer homes or winter homes are really getting nervous.
I used to be trapped.
So where are we? Where are we going to see you down the road? Are we going to see you on? Oh, the guy just asked me a question. They are asking me if a TV show, if like a Rona Barrett show or more like a entertainment show, was presented to you with interviewing people, stars, would you acquiesce? Would you want to do a TV show? And
absolutely, that'd be awesome.
You would like to do that?
Cool, yeah.
Okay, that's what the guys just asked me. They said something that they were working on doing and developing a program. You can interview them, and I'll give them mini readings.
Right, we could work together. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. So I guess we're almost at the end of the show. But Angela, Grizzly, do you want to ask any questions or?
So I actually just sent Peter the link to EMF to send to you.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to do anything, because I know how it is. I want you to break the world record. I want to see you to get that accomplished. And cool. I know you can do it.
Yep.
That is the goal that I want you to achieve, because I know you can do it. If you got that many down this far, I want to see you to achieve it and make history. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that would be something that would be worldwide.
That'd be cool.
And unachievable for anybody else to break. I really do.
That'd be cool. I can't wait.
Well, I know I'm going to say to you also, Grizzly, from what I've read and the people that he has interviewed, not because of his age, but he's a very, how old are you now, Marcos?
30. I'm going to be 38 in October, so 37.
38. That is amazing how much you have achieved at such a young age. I put you up there, not just because we're very good friends and everything, but I put you up there with the Walter Cronkites and who I actually years ago, I had a talk with Walter Cronkite. And unfortunately, I don't know if a lot of people know this, Walter Cronkite was a secretive alcoholic. And
yes.
Was always drunk, and when I spoke to him, I'm willing to come on any time, and I realized that I couldn't have him on my show back then because he was inebriated. But Marcos, we would love to have you on again, which we're going to.
This was amazing. Thank you, Peter Mark. You're such a legend.
And so are you, my friend. And I had a wonderful time, and I find you fascinating. What you do, and also one of these days I want to really meet Effie.
Yeah, cool. Come to Long Island. I'm always here.
He just wants the food. That's what he wants. He wants to eat.
It's not just the food. It's not just to meet the whole family. So it's been an honor to have you.
Peter Marks, you're such a legend.
And we go back and forth. We admire each other's qualities and everything. Angela, do you have anything? I know do anything else that you wanted to say, dear?
Oh, she's muted. Unmute your mic, hon.
Oh, you're muted, dear.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and come on back and see us.
Oh, yes. I thank you, Angela, for it. I'm just so starstruck. Peter Marks, the best in the world.
And we really greatly appreciate you coming on the show, sir.
Having me.
And from coast to coast and around the world, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we got a show coming up tonight at 9:00 Eastern time, and we are talking about chupacabras. Yes. So it's going to be interesting. So Godspeed, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you shortly. And thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
And break that record.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.